Coffee, the drink that scared kings, clerics, and empires. Imagine walking into a cafe, you order a coffee. Suddenly, the government bans it, religious leaders argue about it, people accuse it of corrupting society, and someone literally calls it the devil's drink. Today, coffee is so normal that millions of people can't function without it, just like me. But a few centuries ago, this little brown drink caused arguments across continents. This is the bizarre history of how coffee went from suspicious bean to a global obsession. And trust me, by the end of this story, you will see why some rulers were genuinely terrified of people sitting around and drinking coffee. Not because it was poisonous, because it made people think. Our story begins in East Africa. According to a popular legend, sometime around the 19th century, an Ethiopian goat herder named Kaldi noticed his goats behaving strangely after eating berries from a certain plant. The goats became energetic, almost suspiciously energetic, like they just discovered the world's first energy drink. Now, historians aren't sure whether Kaldi was a real person, but what we do know is that coffee originated in Ethiopia. From there, the coffee spread across the Red Sea into Yemen, and that's where the things got serious. By the 1400s, people in Yemen were roasting coffee beans and brewing a drink that looked much more like coffee as we know it today. At this point, coffee wasn't a lifestyle, it wasn't an aesthetic. Nobody was posting latte art. It was mainly used by Sufi Muslims who often drank it to stay awake during long nights of prayer and religious devotion, which is probably one of the first few times in history a drink became popular because people wanted more religious activities. But soon the coffee escaped the mosques, and that's when the trouble started. The first coffee houses. By the early 1500s, coffee houses began appearing throughout cities such as Mecca, Cairo, Damascus, and later Istanbul. And these weren't just places to drink, they were the social media platforms of their day. People gathered there to talk, debate politics, exchange news, discuss ideas, play games, listen to music, and spend hours arguing with strangers. So basically, the internet, except with fewer comment section and better beverages. The coffee houses became incredibly popular, and that popularity made some authorities nervous, very nervous. In 1500, the governor of Mecca became concerned about coffee houses, not because coffee was making people violent, not because it was making people sick, but because large groups of people were gathering and talking freely. To rulers throughout history, that's usually not a comforting sight, and thus the government banned coffee. His reasoning included claims that coffee stimulated radical thinking and encouraged behavior that might challenge authority. Imagine being so powerful that your enemy is a hot beverage. The ban didn't last long. High authorities overturned it. But this would become a pattern throughout coffee's history. People drink coffee, coffee houses become popular, authorities panic, coffee gets banned, coffee returns anyway, and repeat. And then the coffee arrived in one of the most powerful cities on earth. And that's when the controversy got even bigger. Istanbul's coffee craze. Coffee reached the Ottoman capital of Istanbul during the 1500s. The city fell in love with it. Coffee houses spread rapidly. Merchants went there, poets went there, scholars went there, ordinary citizens went there. Basically, everyone except people trying to get any work done. But some Ottoman rulers viewed coffee houses as potential centers of political dissent, especially because people gathered there specifically to discuss current events. During the reign of Sultan Murad IV in the 1600s, restrictions were imposed on coffee houses as part of broader efforts to control public gathering places. The issue wasn't really the coffee itself, the issue was what happened around the coffee. When people gather, they talk. When they talk, they exchange ideas. And when they exchange ideas, rulers start wondering what they are saying. Meanwhile, Europe was about to meet coffee, and Europeans had absolutely no idea what to make of it. Coffee arrived in Europe during the late 1500s and early 1600s. At first, reactions were mixed. Some people loved it, others looked at this dark, bitter drink from the Islamic world and immediately became suspicious. Understandably, it looked nothing like European beverages. One story, repeated for centuries, claimed that some critics referred to coffee as satanic or devil's drink because of its association with Muslim lands. Whether every detail of the story is true is debated by historians. But what is certain is that coffee faced religious suspicion in parts of Europe. Then comes one of the history's most unexpected public relations victories. According to a famous tradition, Pope Clement VIII was asked to condemn coffee. But after tasting it, he supposedly enjoyed it so much that he approved of it instead. The exact wording attributed to him is probably legendary, but the story survived because people found it hilarious. Imagine preparing a detailed argument against coffee, then the Pope takes one sip and says, "Actually, it's pretty good." Centuries of controversy defeated by a beverage tasting session. But the real reason rulers feared the coffee had nothing to do with the religion, it had everything to do with conversation. By the 1600s and 1700s, coffee houses were spreading across Europe, especially in England. These places become centers of discussion. Scientists met there, writers met there, businessmen met there, politicians met there. The ideas traveled through coffee houses at incredible speed. Some were even named penny universities because, for the price of a cup of coffee, people could join conversations and learn from others. Think about it, a room full of curious people exchanging information all day. To us, that sounds normal. To the government, it sounded dangerous. In 1675, King Charles II of England attempted to suppress coffee houses, partly because they were viewed as places where criticism and rumors spread. Public opposition was strong. The effort quickly failed. The coffee houses survived. The king lost, the coffee won. Honestly, the kind of victories I like. And now we come to the funniest part of the entire story. The people who feared coffee were right about one thing. Coffee really did change society, not just in the way expected. Coffee houses helped spread ideas. They connected merchants, scholars, scientists, and ordinary citizens. Today, more than a billion cups are consumed every single day. So, the next time you're drinking coffee, remember that several governments, religious authorities, and powerful rulers once looked at the same exact drink and thought, this thing is becoming way too popular. And honestly, considering how many people panic when they miss their morning coffee, maybe they had a point. And here we come to the end of this video. Hope you liked it. And if you did, why not hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon so that you get notified every time I post? Bye.